Welcome to the Secret Cellar podcast. I'm the host, York Underwood. I'm the show manager here at the Secret Cellar, Iceland's first and only comedy club. Our guest today is one of the founders and owners of the Secret Cellar, Davíð Páll. Yes, how you doing?
I'm good. If you would pronounce my name properly.
How do you say it?
Davíð Páll.
Páll. Yeah, just like that beer.
Although I can't say it myself because I have a thing in my teeth that basically I can't say double L's.
Can't say double L's?
No.
Me neither. We're like the same.
Well, that's because you're Canadian.
That's true.
So
So this is the Secret Cellar. We get a lot of people wondering what exactly this is, how it started. Why is there an English language comedy club in Iceland? What made you decide to give up your life of luxury to suffer and try and create a comedy club here?
Yes, as I've said on stage, comedians are drama queens.
Uh-huh.
And
what are you talking about?
Exactly. Well, comedians are drama queens. Bartenders also are drama queens, and that's basically what I've been doing for about 10, 11 years. I've been jumping in and doing bars and nightclubs and stuff like that. I used to own one of the bigger nightclubs here in Reykjavik, not by popularity but by size of the house.
Okay. Yeah. It was the largest.
Yeah, it was
not the biggest club.
Yes.
The largest club.
We're not going to go into it, but it was a fucked up establishment. Let's say it that way. You've been to a couple of after parties there, I've heard.
Yeah. No, that's not true.
I don't remember, but
Yeah. Me neither.
Yeah.
That's the type of after party it was.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah. Well, so I moved from there to different bars and stuff like that. I basically used to work in fishing.
I'll raise the mic up.
Yes, I basically used to work in fishing.
Yeah.
And I got into a very, very bad accident. And when that happened, I kind of needed something else to do. I was just on insurance. And there's a lot of nightclubs and bars that are willing to pay.
Yeah.
Just in cash.
That's a kind of a common story here in Iceland. Is like I made some money fishing, decided
It's very Icelandic.
decided to get into the nightlife. I mean, I funded it for all those years when I was fishing. I might as well own a piece of it.
Well, when I became a raging alcoholic,
Yeah.
that's just how it happens.
Yeah.
And when my alcoholism was at a point where I couldn't actually like really afford any more alcohol, I just bought a nightclub.
Yeah. That makes
the right
sense.
thing to do.
When your alcohol level is at where you can't afford the amount of alcohol you need, but you can't afford a nightclub.
Yes.
The largest nightclub.
Yes, the largest nightclub.
Yeah.
And we took over that establishment, and it was just started to be a lot of fun. And at a point in there, I kind of had to stop drinking.
Yeah.
Because it was getting to the point where I was just about to die. I was doing so many drugs, and it was just bullshit. So
This is going to be a common thread because we're doing comedians. It seems like every interview is going to be like, yeah, I used to drink too much, but it's been a heavy 2 weeks of going sober.
It's like Gísli tends to say. Gísli always tends to say on stage, it's that the Secret Cellar used to be a strip club.
Yeah.
Like it's known as the place where, like, when I explain, like, oh, so it's at Lækjargata, they're like, wait, where the Greenroom used to be? Wait, where was that? The Strawberries. That seems to always be the thing. So Gísli always says on stage that it's a different establishment, same amount of daddy issues. That's kind of what it is.
No, it's definitely true. Gísli Jóhann, by the way, is a comedian who performs here at the Secret Cellar. If you don't know who he is, you should check him out. He has the shows on Friday, the Not So Secret Friday show.
With Gísli Jóhann.
With Gísli Jóhann, the Not So Secret Friday show. I opened for strippers before out in the oil fields in Alberta.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it was terrible. But like at first, because like the strip club, I was never very interested in strip clubs. I wasn't very impressed. Not to say that I was like, cooler than people who go to strip clubs. I just wasn't into it. But then when I got to go to the back end, I felt more at home there when they're all getting ready and they're like, oh, this is our show. And I'm like, that's how I feel. And we kind of bonded.
Yeah, my opinion on a strip club is always, why wouldn't you just go to a brothel?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
If you're going to spend the money.
Yeah, if you're going to spend the money, then spend it properly.
Completely, like, I was just like, why would you spend any money when all you can do is just,
It is, although, a different kind of situation. Mm-hmm. It's a different situation. It's a different feel when you're paying for it. Oh, let's not go into that. What can I say? I'm a recovering alcoholic.
Okay. Of course, that's the best thing about being a recovering alcoholic is all the bad stuff you did, forgiven.
Yes, it's forgiven. It's kind of like Christianity.
Yeah. It is. It's like being an alcoholic, like being a Catholic. It's like, no, none of that counted. It's over now.
Yeah, I said I'm sorry. It's all right.
So quit bothering me, okay? And no, I won't pay child support. That was a different dude.
Yeah, it wasn't me. Fuck him. Yeah. So
That's the only reason I think I would never want to be like a fully recovered anything.
No.
Because I never want to give myself excuses for the past. Plus, I don't want to forgive myself. How do you like that? Deep. Or maybe I'm just not sorry.
Issues, as we talked about. He's a comedian.
Maybe I'm not sorry. I don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe not.
Maybe not.
Yeah, it's that interesting kind of story of I kind of upstairs from the Secret Cellar, of course, is the Icelandic Craft Bar. It's kind of like Icelandic. It's where like there's a lot of craft bars around the city, but what me and Unnar, which is the owner of Icelandic Street Food, one of my best friends, when he called me in, we basically I came down here and we started changing the Greenroom into something different, and this is basically a location that nothing's ever worked here. It's kind of like known in the industry as kind of like a doomed location.
Yeah.
So we kind of just started doing something different. There's a lot of craft bars around, so we basically made it just the Icelandic Craft Bar.
Yeah.
Where we just complement the Icelandic beers, and of course with tourism how it is here in Iceland and all that immediately started getting super busy, and we've got people, staff from other bars that are coming in, and they're like their bosses send them over, and they're trying to figure out what we do differently. I'm not gonna tell you what it is, but I
you see that like this sounds like a great idea. The Icelandic Craft Bar sounds like a great idea. What does not sound like a great idea is the Secret Cellar.
Yeah, I know. It's a horrible idea.
You just shifted the conversation. Like I had this really good idea, but I'm stuck with this really bad one.
Yeah.
You moved down from the craft bar and you fully managed that.
Yeah, I even took a pay cut at one point where basically like the idea when I walked into the downstairs room was immediately in my head comedy club. That was just I saw the room and this is perfect for a comedy club. Just like my idea of a comedy club at that point was we need a brick wall over there. Yeah. In the end, that's not really what you need. The brick wall kind of says comedy club, but you don't really need it.
Yeah, you can have a wood wall. Like
we did. Yeah, it's an unfinished sauna. Like, fuck that. Yeah. Hate that joke. Well, there's one thing that he always says. That is kind of interesting, and I always nod my head when he says it. And that's
is this Gísli again?
Yeah,
is this a quote Gísli podcast?
Yeah, we're talking about the Secret Cellar and the origins of it, and he points at the white poster downstairs that has nothing on it. Yeah. And this is actually how much cocaine they were using when they designed the Secret Cellar. Kind of correct. Yeah. Although it wasn't in my system at that time, but
yeah, I mean, it has a long-lasting effects.
It does. It takes 3 years for cocaine to actually like get completely out of your system.
Like just the neural pathways of being addicted.
For everything to be completely restored, it takes it's at that you're not completely back until 3 years after.
Oh wow.
No.
Jeez.
Yeah.
But then you said comedy club, and then you got a few people together. You got Dan, Bjarni, Unnar.
Yeah, basically it was Unnar and Bjarni went into that idea. When I come downstairs and basically that's when
and Unnar is like he's kind of behind the scenes, but Bjarni's one of the like performers here. He has a show called the Viking
Magic Viking
show on Mondays.
Yeah, Mondays, and then he has with Thoraglir, he has the Silly Sunday Shenanigans with Thoraglir on Sundays.
And he's been a performer for like 20 years.
Yeah, he's one of the he's more experienced guys that we have here. Like he's very good at what he does, and credit where credit's due. He's very good. He's a very good comedian.
And you kind of like he came in as a comedian. Dan was kind of just starting as a comedian.
Yeah.
And then you hadn't really done comedy before at all, but you wanted to.
The thought didn't even cross my mind at that point.
You just wanted to have a comedy club and be around comedians.
Basically, the idea came. I was running the upstairs when nothing was kind of happening. There was nothing happening. It was a lot of ideas that everybody was shooting around, but downstairs was still just storage for the upstairs and stuff like that. And it was just completely in ruins. And then Unnar kind of just has kind of enough, where he's thinking about doing something else with the space. So I basically walk up to Unnar and I tell him, like, give me 2 months. I'll get this started. So I walk downstairs and I leave the upstairs behind, as I said, taking a pay cut and everything. Because in my mind, I believed that because there was no such thing as a comedy club in Iceland.
Right.
I kind of just believed that I could jump down there and a comedy club would be brilliant. That idea would just, because there's nothing like it here. There was basically the Monday nights at Gaukurinn, but there wasn't anything else.
Yeah.
So I kind of just believed in it. So I jump downstairs. We get it started. It's basically me and Bjarni that get it started, and Dan at that point is just kind of a bartender.
Yeah.
At that point, so me and Bjarni are running it and start this off. It's mainly Magic Viking shows that we start with before we actually get the Golden Gang Comedy to come in and perform.
Yeah.
And it's that and one thing led to the other, and at one point we kind of realized that for the whole time Dan had just been running it with us.
Yeah.
He's been there from the start. He was doing sometimes, like at some points he was sometimes doing more work than Bjarni and me in certain points of it, like, because the balance with the three of us has always been this kind of like Dan is kind of an up and coming comedian.
Yeah.
So he has an opinion of an at that point an up and coming comedian.
Yeah.
Bjarni is the experienced comedian, so he usually, like, when it comes to the comedy field, he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And I am bar.
Yeah.
Because that's just what I became, like, when I couldn't work in my old job anymore, I just thrived into, I'm gonna be a good bartender. Mm-hmm. And then everything comes from that. And the interesting thing how it kind of proceeds is just like this starts working, we start getting more comedians in, and just like we talk about the open mics tonight. And actually you are actually a very you're an inspiration to me when it comes to actually doing a set.
Yeah.
At the Secret Cellar, where I'm just standing there, and you joke around with the fact sometimes when you introduce me on stage that he owns the place, and he saw the comedians doing it and he went, well, I could do that. Yeah. That was actually the thought that went through my mind. I saw you on stage where it's like confidence, all that. I have that all.
Yeah.
But then I go up on stage and it's like everybody says, it's a completely different story. On stage. It's easy to be funny at a party, but on stage you usually, if you're funny at a party, you just crash and burn.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like the AA saying, keep coming back. It works if you work it. So work it, you're worth it. It's kind of comedy.
Yeah.
It applies to it, kind of.
But it must have been like, you've worked with like a nightclub. You have the nightclub attitude. You have these drunk people at the bar. You have to manage them. It's kind of like an adult daycare. But then when you bring a comedy club into it, you have the performers is kind of like running an adult daycare. And the bar is, so it's extra pressure. What was it? How did it change your life having to deal with the egos of a bunch of people who wanted to be comedians?
Egos are easily broken.
This is their dreams.
Yeah, it is.
We're in the green room. You know how many people sit here and talk about how like their dream is to be a professional?
Yeah. Mainly almost all of them.
Yeah.
Like all of the comedians that we have here.
Yeah.
It's
sitting with a lot of desperate people every night. That must mess with your psyche.
Not really. Not really. Like the company that I kept when I was drinking was kind of it's kind of similar if you think about it.
Yeah.
It's just that conversation is a tool to me.
Yeah.
In a way of like the same thing as if we go a completely different direction, it's kind of like how I view racism and how I view all those kinds of things.
Okay.
It's that PC culture thing.
Yeah. When
you talk about PC culture and you're talking about like banning certain words and stuff like that.
Yeah.
As soon as you start, in my opinion, if you start banning certain words, then you're taking away the conversation.
Yeah.
You're taking away the key word that basically lets me know that you're a fucking racist.
Yeah.
And that takes away my ability to actually educate you differently.
Yeah, you want people to be out in the open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not a highly educated guy, but I would like to call myself smart sometimes.
Smart sometimes.
Sometimes.
But what is that? How does that like? So PC cult. Why is that like with comedians?
Comedians are like in the sense of that, like when somebody says something wrong on stage or something like that. It's when somebody walks out on stage. That's why I've started actually doing in the announcements before the show when we're asking people not to talk during the shows and stuff like that. I've started to make a very subtle, like not a very subtle joke, but kind of like a hint joke where it's like, if you're easily offended, you walked into a fucking comedy club. Like, what the fuck were you thinking?
Yeah, it's always a little bit, because Icelandic humor. Also, because the language is different, they don't take things as seriously. Yeah, like swearing and stuff. You'll hear 6-year-old kids swearing on the street. Yeah. Because the swear words in English don't mean the same thing. But then when we're not really completely Icelandic, we have a lot of tourists from all over.
Can we smoke in here?
Yeah, you can smoke. Yeah.
Me asking you that question was kind of a joke.
Oh yeah.
I own the place.
Yeah, but it's we have these tourist crowds coming in, and so you're catering. You're a tourist venue in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And so being someone who owns something and has to stand behind these artists, whatever you want to call them, comedians, you have to stand behind them. You have to stand behind them while they're trying to make something, even though they fail and they say stupid stuff and it's not very good. And then you have basically an international audience with all eyes on you, with all the different opinions from all over the place. Yeah. How does it is it like, do you ever feel that the audience comes first or the comedian comes first? How do you handle something when people complain?
When people complain, it's usually like, we haven't gotten that many complaints. If you think about it.
No, we haven't.
It's in my opinion, it is like, I was looking over the TripAdvisor reviews. We've gotten like 2 bad TripAdvisor reviews where they're actually like slandering, like saying that we're saying stuff or stuff like that. Usually it is, if I go towards the 3-strike rule that we have, if you're talking during the show and you talk, like, if I have to talk to you 3 times during the show, that's 3 times too many, and I basically kick you out.
Right.
And
a lot of comedians would appreciate that.
Yes.
Like, especially traveling ones, if they found out that people actually get kicked out when they talk, they're like, that's a real comedy club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
They made business.
Yeah, and if you look at like the Comedy Store, like downstairs, like Bill Burr said when he performed on a stage, it was this feels like, basically, if you would get rid of the bar, which is the plan for one point, but if we were to get rid of the bar, this would just be the original room at the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
It feels the same because it's so close together and everybody's kind of like, you can feel almost every human being in there when you're on stage.
Yeah, yeah, it's a great
I feel
room.
the same way when I'm singing on that stage, or when I'm doing sets on that stage.
Yeah.
It's that similar kind of, it's that you're so close to the audience. It's not like there's let me put it that way. There's only one performer in the history of performing that has been able to go on stage and perform where every single person in the stadium, in 180,000 people stadium in Brazil, where every single person feels like that person is singing for them.
Yeah.
And that was Freddie Mercury.
Yeah.
No other performer has established that.
Okay.
Where you're basically on stage and you're singing to that large of an audience and every single person feels like he's singing for them.
Yeah, yeah.
This
is a lot more personal.
It's easier to do that when it's a smaller room.
And with comedy, you can't have that big.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. The timing doesn't work. The room's too big.
Yeah. But if you look at it, like, you've got comedians that they do in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, but that's never, like, if you've ever been to one of those stadium shows, it never feels.
Yeah, it never feels the same.
It never feels the same. You'd rather run into them in a comedy club.
Anybody who went to Bill Burr and Harpa and went to him, like, doing the same set, like almost the same set downstairs here.
Yeah.
Everybody said that it was so much better downstairs.
Oh yeah.
Because of the feeling that you have in that room.
Yeah.
What were we talking about again?
How it's like to take care of comedians. You went from being a bar owner to deciding to work with comedians, and now you've been here for over a year and a half. I'm just wondering how this has affected your life.
It's hard work.
Yeah.
I can tell you that it's hard work. It's hard work working with comedians. It's not just working with comedians. It's similar work as working with bar staff. Like that conversation of somebody at the bar not being able to have 2 drinks during their work. Like, it's a very easy explanation.
Yeah.
It's a very easy explanation. Like, you're not driving a forklift down at the docks, drinking 2 beers before you jump into the forklift.
Right.
That's just fucking dangerous.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing as if something happens, if somebody walks in, like that explanation of if somebody walks into a bar, and which I'm very familiar with, and that person becomes hostile.
Yeah.
You don't want to be drunk when that happens because you want to have control over every single tendon in your body. It is fighting. It is fighting when a drunk person.
Yeah, but I know what you mean. Like if you're on stage, you're on stage and you say something or something happens on stage or like something crazy happens, someone rushes the stage, and then it turns out you're drunk as well as the performer.
Yeah.
Your credibility and everything is gone.
It's completely gone.
Yeah.
It's completely gone. Because it's basically at that point just 2 drunk guys fighting.
Yeah, it's just 2 drunk dudes.
But then you have to deal with me.
Yeah.
Because you're the one that rushed the stage. It's not a good idea.
Yeah. Well, we've had to deal with a few situations because people get a lot of people aren't used to comedy, like especially like a comedy club, because this has got a bar feel, and also we have karaoke after.
Yeah, so rowdy does happen.
People, people come ready to get pumped up to go on stage and sing "Don't Stop Believin'." But that's another thing, is that I think comedy, like, we started this club when we were here at the beginning.
Yeah.
And now it's more of a comedy club than a karaoke bar, when it was the
Much
opposite for a while.
It was basically for maybe we've been open for 1.5 years.
Yeah.
Just about. For the first year, karaoke kind of paid the bills.
Yeah, and then all of a
Like,
sudden
really?
the show manager came.
Oh, that guy. Holy shit. Oh, wait, what? That guy? What's going on?
Yeah, and things just turned around.
Yeah. It had started kind of turning around before that, but as soon as you and Kirsten come in, which is our media manager here at the Secret Cellar, takes care of our media stuff.
Yeah, she does everything.
Yeah, she's brilliant. Yeah. As soon as you guys, like, the first week, I noticed that we were getting, like, just looking over the Facebook management page, we were getting 20%, like, first week. It was like 20%
more engagements and people coming, and then you can target them now with social media. And you're like, hey, there's a comedy show going on.
What? Wait, what? I'm in
something
Leifsted.
Free in Iceland?
I landed in Leifsted. First advertisement. Holy shit, there's a comedy club.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Is that yeah, it's we took a very big leap. Yeah. And at this point we're of course, it kind of started when Bill Burr came here, because the atmosphere with all the comedians and everything kind of started. Mm-hmm. Because everybody here had been used to a comedy night. Mm-hmm. It was always just a comedy night at Gaukurinn, 2 comedy nights at Gaukurinn, maybe one in Hafnarfjörður once a month. Yeah. So when Bill Burr came here and actually kind of, I feel kind of like he established this place as a real comedy club.
Well, it definitely gave it some attention.
Yeah, it gave it attention, and it gave it also the feel. The comedians kind of felt like...
It was awkward for 2 weeks afterwards, because every time a comedian went on stage, they had a boner.
Yeah.
Men and women.
Yeah, I brought like one of the comedians that posted a very long Facebook post about him bringing Bill Burr's water.
We're not going to name who that guy is.
No, of course not.
Helgi Steinar.
Yeah, Helgi Steinar.
He brought Bill Burr his glass of water.
Yeah.
So...
And how do we know that? He told us for weeks afterwards.
But that's also the other thing, is this is a different model. Like, a lot of people who start comedy clubs now, especially if you're in Canada, the States, they would have they'd have a kind of more money behind them at the beginning. Yeah. It was kind of, the space was given up. Yeah. And it was just, okay, can we make this work? The comedians were not professional level, and it was just like a bunch of us coming together saying, hey, we want to do this.
The space itself is just built with me and Bjarni's own hands.
Yeah.
We didn't have, we were scraping together money at first just to like build the stairs that come into the venue right now.
Yeah. And the comedians were just like, all we had before was the Monday night show. Yeah. And we had that on Monday and Wednesdays for a bit, but that was just kind of the same open mic type comedians coming up. And then all of a sudden we had a club where we had people coming and expecting a show. Yeah. And we had no budget, really. Yeah. And people just had to come and do it because they wanted to do it. Yeah. A lot of these comedians are just volunteering hours of their time.
They get 2 beers, and some of them actually, because of that, have stopped drinking. Yeah. Well, I won't take any blame in that. Yeah. Any blame whatsoever.
No, but I think like that's the other thing, is that it became like a hangout place, and it became lots of fun. Which is what I think happens when anybody does anything like this. And everyone was just like, holy shit, this is so much fun. But after a while, they realized we have to take this a lot more seriously. Of course. And it's not just a party. No. But it was kind of like that for a while.
It was kind of like that. And we kind of had to take control of that. Yeah. There was a situation in that point in time where we noticed that some of the comedians were drinking more than others. And we actually had to, not naming any names again, we had to ban a comedian because... almost every rule in here is made because of that comedian.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we don't name any names, but that
we've already done it. But fuck it.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, it happens.
But then, when you're doing this, like investing this much time and this much effort, you're like a young man. You just had a kid. Yeah, and you're like building your life together. How much of your life is dedicated to comedy when you have all this other stuff that you have to be doing as well?
Well, at this point, it's all of my life. Yeah. If you think about it, like I spend time with my kid and my mother of my child and all that, and it's but of course now we're here every day. Yeah. We're here every day. We're around this. We're building up the atmosphere. We're trying to build up the show. We're trying to that's also what a lot of people don't always understand, that I said this at the open mic the other night.
Yeah.
I basically go on stage, and it's when I talked about the comedians being drama queens. It was said in a joke.
Yeah.
But it was still kind of not. It kind of came up because I got kind of pissed off at one of the comedians getting pissed off that he didn't get his beer before his set.
Yeah.
Which is a rule set by the comedian that we mentioned before.
Yeah.
It's there's this. I walk on stage and I said that I think you introduced me on stage as one of the owners of the Secret Cellar, the man who pays the bills.
Yeah.
And I walk on stage and I start off by calling all the comedians drama queens, and then it basically goes into why is it gone? It fell out of my head. It goes into me actually like saying that you guys are lucky as an audience. You get to come in here, you get to enjoy a show.
Yeah.
The comedians, they're lucky. They get to come in here and they get to perform on that stage.
Yeah.
But everything that happens in between that is my problem.
Yeah.
Like,
after.
Yeah. I can kind of go on stage and I could, in a sense, say whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah.
Because I have to deal with the consequences.
Yeah.
So it's kind of different when, although I pride myself on not being, like I said to you, I don't want to be part of any of the showcase shows or anything until I'm completely ready.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. I'm gonna work for what.
But that's
what
even
I want.
crazy. We even have we have Friday and Saturday shows now. We have Saturday showcase and we have Gísli's show on Friday, my show on Saturday, and we have different caliber of shows now just with the comedians. We're getting bookings for corporate gigs. There's a lot of companies with English language people, and it's all just kind of started from nothing.
It started definitely like completely from an idea. It just came from an idea.
Yeah, like it started like
from an idea.
Gísli did the first English language for 3 years, where it was you had the Monday night running this, and all of a sudden after this 3 years, you start to get comedians who want this to go and go and go. And now on a Friday and Saturday at 9:15,
we're packed.
We're packed and we're closing the gates, and people are complaining that they can't get in, or they showed up late, or their boyfriend's downstairs.
Icelandic people.
Yeah.
Icelandic people very much Icelandic people. What I noticed with my years of experience in this business, tourists are always nice. Mm-hmm. You always want the tourists. Yeah. Icelandic people are assholes.
Yeah.
They kind of just are. Mm-hmm. They're entitled, they're rude, all of that, and that's mainly like in the whole time that we've been running this downstairs. the main people that we've had to throw out are Icelandic people that don't understand what comedy clubs actually are, because of course we're the first of its kind, so we're kind of the teachers.
Yeah.
So.
But it is kind of like afterwards, the comedians, like I myself have gotten a little too rowdy after a comedy show a few times.
Yes.
Yeah. Because it's after.
You've gotten a hand across your face.
I got slapped.
Once or twice.
Yeah. I've been slapped a few times. Yeah. I deserved it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was just, you get like, you have this show, you're with like your friends and you're performing and you're trying new stuff. And then you have a really good show or you have a mediocre show or whatever. And then it's just a bar.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're like, hey, I get to celebrate here. And then everyone in the bar knows you because
you're on stage.
Because you're on stage. You're like, woo, this is awesome. How is like
girls coming up to you just, hey, take the cocaine off my titties.
What?
I'm just kidding.
That's never happened to me in my life.
Never.
It's terrible.
It's a terrible idea.
Yeah, no, but that's not.
I don't know why I brought it up.
Yeah, it seems like you have like this sort of atmosphere where it's a party atmosphere, and you have like drugs and alcohol is a problem at every bar in Reykjavik right now.
It is like, in my opinion, it's always been.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been. That's the reason why I don't know how to word this without coming off as a the only way to cancel out drug use in nightlife anywhere in the world now. Mm-hmm. You can't kind of close it out. It's if you talk to police in other countries and stuff like that, you kind of can't cancel it out because it's always going to be there.
Right.
It's it just becomes more lucrative if you
the more difficult you made it.
Yeah. You're more. Yeah. It's this is always going to be there unless you in a way legalize it.
Yeah.
The only way to
you
completely get rid of the stigma of it is legalize it.
Legalize all drugs and just get better mental health.
Yeah.
But if we get too good of a robust mental health
then people stop dying.
No, but imagine if all of a sudden the social safety net of Iceland just got the best mental health program in the world. How many comedians are going to be?
Yeah, fuck.
Like none.
We're out of business.
We're out of business.
We haven't thought about
Everyone's
that.
just like, I was like, no. It's like, hey, do you want to go on stage and get attention from strangers? No, I'm good.
There's nothing better than a comedian in a manic episode on stage. It just kind of is. I've seen that a couple of times.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, it happens.
But then when you have this and you have the like, and you're dealing with the night and the karaoke and everyone's really drunk and everything, then you're dealing with people's egos and behavior, and then you have drugs, and then you have the underworld. How does that affect having a nightclub here? Because there's a lot of people,
It is a very rough business. Of course, it's a very rough business. It's a business of where you kind of you can't turn your back on it in a way. I'm not sure how to word it though. It's you have to be very firm. It's kind of like if you're not very firm in this business, you kind of just get walked over.
Right.
And so first impressions usually are kind of that. Like the regulars here have probably noticed that if somebody comes for the second time and he's being an asshole again, some people might say it's rough.
Yeah.
But we're kind of rough. It's just what it is.
Just kick 'em out.
Yeah, because then everybody else that sees it, they go, "Oh, I kind of don't want to."
Yeah, but you got the look. You got the black shirt, the long hair, the beard, the tattoos.
The fucking Viking.
Yeah. So you can kind of give that impression, like
I don't have to. I haven't had a fight, like a proper fight, in 6 years.
Yeah.
In that business, it's all body language and stuff like that. It's
just
manipulation,
manipulation and crowd control.
Crowd control.
Yeah.
I should use that on stage.
Yeah.
My manipulation.
Yeah.
Crowd control. Beat somebody up on stage. We talked about this. We want to make a show about this, right?
Yeah, I do.
Me and you fighting to the death.
Yes, on stage.
Yeah.
Because I think that there's not enough violence on stage anymore.
Not at all. You want to bring a paintball gun in, right?
Yeah. See, I know they've said no to this.
Yeah, I know. It's bad. It's a very good idea, but at the same time, it's a bad idea.
No, it's a great idea. So if anyone's listening who has the ability to produce this, it's a great idea for a show. You get 6 comedians, and you have an audience, and it's being filmed for YouTube, and there's a set of rules that you can't break.
Yeah.
And they get like 10 seconds to read the rules, and they change every week. So they're not sure what the rules are.
You've actually thought this through.
But it's on the screen, so the audience can see the rules, but he doesn't know it or she doesn't know it. And the other screen has the random word that's generated that if they say it, they also get shot with the paintball.
Yes.
So the audience can hear like the sentence going towards the word, and they'll be like, "Ah!"
That's fun.
Yeah. But if he breaks a rule or she breaks a rule, it lights up on the rule that's broken and then shot with the paintball, and the audience knows it before they do, and then they're shot. Yeah. It's awesome because I want to call it Chekhov's gun. Because like Anton Chekhov, like the playwright, he said if you put a gun on stage, it means by the end of the play it has to be used. You're supposed to use everything on stage. It has to be there for a reason. So this is like theater. This is like drama. This is like stand-up. This is beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's a very good idea, but it's a bad idea at the same time. It's kind of like, I would never trust you with a loaded gun on stage.
No, you don't have to trust me. It would be set up in an apparatus, kind of like the last episode of Breaking Bad.
Oh, yeah. It's spoiler alert. Not even a spoiler alert. It's just a beautiful fucking ending to a series.
Yeah. And they just had a
perfect
movie.
ending.
I think you should, if you don't know the ending to Breaking Bad already, it's not my fault.
Yeah. That's basically your fault. You're an idiot for not having watched it.
Yeah, but you have it set up in an apparatus. It's just controlled by a computer at the bar. Bing, bing. This is great.
I like it.
I love it. But
Let's do it.
I want to do it. But the thing that's been hard about this is that
comedians willing to take part.
Comedians have said no.
Yeah, I know.
The management has said no, and then the police have said no.
Yeah, because paintball guns are illegal unless
so
you have a license.
This is like we've got 3 big hurdles here.
Yeah.
We need to get comedians that are not such what's the politically correct term?
Pussies?
No, pussies are actually quite durable.
Yeah, they're nice.
Yeah, strong.
I like them.
Luxurious.
Luxurious, yes. Soft.
Yeah. But no, I mean, what's the word? Like people who aren't so like thin-skinned, which I know most comedians are thin-skinned. Yeah. So for paintball guns, that's not good.
Let's not name any names, but
let's not name any names, but all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was funny. I won't name the comedian. Yeah. But like, because like here when you're in the green room and like I'm managing the show and we're going over how everything's going, I was sitting here one time and one of the comedians was like, saying to another comedian, "Hey, you did this thing and like you forgot to do this, blah blah blah." And then one comedian turned to him and was like, "When you give someone criticism, my therapist told me you should always sandwich it between 2 compliments."
Yeah, fuck off.
I was just like, nice to see ya. Go fuck yourself. See you next week.
That's beautiful. Well, if you look at a comedian pool that we have and most comedians stuff like that, I think we're the only ones here that have gone through any shit whatsoever.
Yeah, probably. It seems, but it's that's the other thing is that like we're doing comedy classes right away.
Yeah,
and that's going to change the dynamic of the club. Like even just having the improv here, because it's becoming less and less just a party place for psychopaths.
Yeah, it's becoming more professional.
Becoming more professional, and we have these things, and now we have this comedy class, which obviously I don't think that you can make someone a comedian.
Of course not.
Or anything like that. This is just giving people, some people want a structure to start, because only certain personalities start in the way that they're just like, okay, I'm going to the open mic, I'm giving it a go.
Yeah.
And if some people, maybe they would be great if they were just given the right structure to do it. And I think that's fine. I think it's good. So these people, they sign up. But I noticed when people were signing up, a lot of the people, first off, it's majority women that have signed up for the class, because we've been like, that's just something, getting more, like when you're starting a comedy club with no comedians in a country really. Yeah. Well, there's a few that were doing stuff, but no serious weekly comedians like we have now, like who are performing multiple times a week, sometimes multiple times a night. Getting it so that you get the right mix of people and making it that everyone feels comfortable trying it or coming out to do it, that's really difficult. Yeah. So this allows this. But I notice a lot of people say they want to do stand-up for therapy. Yeah. And I can see that in a lot of fringe shows, and maybe in a lot of like British humor where it has this like therapy aspect to it. But I don't really like I don't know. I like it a bit once a comedian's established himself. Maybe I'm being pretentious or something, but I'll see like the Bill Burr's last special, and he had some of the stuff where he explained like his relationship with his dad. Obviously, he's already done that with his TV show. Or even Dave Chappelle, you see like he got the controversy with his material. I wasn't so interested in as like how he dealt with this and why he's doing it, where he's coming from, and you can see like the person that he is. But if you start out with that, like, I never understand it. I try to tell people like, there's nothing wrong with you. Yeah. But the reason that people are interested in the man or the woman behind the show is because they have a show. Yeah. Like they've created something, and then now you want to know where it comes from. But if you're just coming there and saying, this is where I come from, I haven't learned how to do anything. I can't perform really well or make you laugh. It basically like we've talked about multiple times. We talked about it is a voice. Yeah. You need a voice to be able to speak. You need a personality to be able to put forward. Yeah. That's probably the most taxing thing about being a comedian. If you think about it, it's you're putting a personality onto the stage. You're putting your voice out there. It's if you don't have neither of those things, it's going to be very hard to get listened to. Yeah, and it hurts because like I would say if you go out there and you say, this is the story of my like crippling life of horrible atrocities that have befallen me since childhood, and no one reacts to it and no one listens to it, that's like a double punch in the gut. Yeah. But if you go up there and go like, oh man, those oranges at the grocery store, they really aren't that great. Then you don't feel that bad when it doesn't work, because you're like, wow, fuck, it's just it's just a joke. It's not the entire story of my life that I've given up. It's very, very hard to put out your whole life story. But it just seems like it's like being in a relationship and dumping too much right at the beginning. Yeah. And then wondering why the other person is like, whoa, crazy. I felt it. I started talking about like my first bit was just a party bit. It was just a fucked up party bit. It was funny because it was fucked up. But then for some reason I was starting to cut it down and stuff like that. And there were some points of it that I cut out that I'm not really sure what were, but it stopped working. Yeah. And then the story was so personal to me that it was very hard for it not to be working. Yeah. Which was kind of interesting because in a way I don't identify with that guy anymore that I'm talking about. Like this is like a completely like Barcelona fucking madness story. Yeah, yeah. Where it's like more of a shock factor laugh than it actually is a funny laugh. But it felt personal to me to be putting that story out there. And when it didn't get a laugh, it hurt a lot more than actually like now when I go on stage. I know it's because of something that some movement that I did, or it's a phrase that I used that didn't work or stuff like that. It's so impersonal different. Why it doesn't work. Yeah. Yeah, that's the strange, like when it doesn't work, it's like technique, craft, practice, skill, but you take everything so personally. Yeah. And the other thing that happens, but you see a lot of people, and I know I did it myself when I started, is that you'll just try and get a reaction, like shock humor, and the audience reads through you. Yeah. So like a young comedian will come up and he'll be like, yeah, bitches, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden the audience will hate him and he'll be like, what? I was just being a badass. Don't they realize I'm a badass? And then everyone's just like, you're just a pathetic, insecure boy. It's the likability factor. Yeah. It's the likability factor, which in my opinion is almost everything in this. It's the same thing with singing. Of course, like my experience on stage comes from singing. Yeah. And that's like, I've destroyed this for a lot of people, but if you look at most
if you look at Freddie Mercury, like we talked about him before. If you look at him, when he wants the attention of the audience, he takes the microphone pole that he has, that short microphone pole, and he points it towards his crotch.
Yeah.
Because the easiest likability factor to get is sexual.
Yeah.
It's sexual likability. That's the easiest thing that you're ever gonna get. Like if it is. And
I know comedians when they see like a young comedian who isn't very skilled yet, and he does kind of like sex jokes, and all the girls are laughing because he's so good looking, and they're kind of just like interested in him. Yeah. All the brainy comedians, like everyone considers himself a brainy comedian at heart, even if they're pretending to be stupid on stage. They think they're a secret genius. Whenever that happens, they're like, they don't know anything.
Yeah, he doesn't know what he's doing.
He's not funny. Yeah. It's like he's getting laughs because at the end of the day, it's a performance, and if they like you, they like you. If they don't like you, they don't like you.
We have a certain comedian here that's always doing the open mic that basically started off with being super offensive. Yeah. He's like, he doesn't have like that.
I think that's a story every open mic has like 12 of those guys.
Yeah. But it's that it was very easy to pinpoint where he lost the crowd.
Yeah.
It was always because he starts off with being offensive. And if you look at comedy specials somewhere else, where like it's easy if you're an established comedian to say something offensive and get away with it because you're established. They know that there's something else behind it. Yeah. There's a likability factor already there. But if you're unknown, you have to establish that likability first. And as soon as you go off the bat and you throw that likability factor out of the window, it's very hard to get the crowd back.
Yeah. Okay, that was a quick break. I don't know why we have to break, but I guess you had to get more Red Bull.
Yeah, Red Bull.
I guess I wanted to just so because we're talking a lot about comedy, and obviously talking about comedy doesn't really mean anything. No one really knows what they're talking about. I definitely don't. Everyone's trying to figure it out. We're just kind of going through this, but that's the cool thing about this whole enterprise, this project, is that we kind of get this responsibility thrown on us that we wouldn't have gotten if we were in Toronto, London. Yeah. New York, something like that, Seattle, any of these places, LA, is that you'd be stacked with a bunch of comedians who are at different levels of their career, and you'd be around them all the time. Yeah. So you would get these weird jealous moments where you're like, I'm funnier than him and blah, blah, blah. And so you'd try these shocking things and you try and like anything to get attention really. Whereas everyone here kind of feels a responsibility at getting better, but also building the club up. Yeah. We have this weird, like, it's always like it's normally it's just you as an individual trying to like, I want more attention. I want to be funnier. I want people to pay attention to me. But everyone who performs here feels like they're doing it for themselves and for the entire scene because we are the entire scene.
Yeah, because it's the responsibility of the comedians of like the same way as we wouldn't have a club if me and Bjarni wouldn't have started it. Yeah. We wouldn't have a club if it wouldn't be for the comedians. Right. So of course the comedians are a big part of it. Like it's that thing of like where when it kind of hurts when a comedian says that they feel like they don't mean anything. Yeah. Or something like that in here. Right. Every single comedian that we have on that stage means something. Right. Doesn't matter if he's good or bad. As long as you're performing on that stage, you're helping out with the scene.
And even like what could happen, which is very like it's very likely that all of the comedians performing here, we could all have this like moment in time where we were doing this thing, and then none of us succeed. Yeah. And none of us become professional comedians or like live our life doing it. Maybe it's something you do on the side for like corporate gigs or whatever, but maybe nothing comes of this. Maybe this collapses at one point, and all it was a few years of time where we got to have this thing.
It was a beautiful piece of time.
It was a beautiful piece of time. And that's we never really lose sight of that. It could slip away at any moment because we know that it's not even likely that it should be here.
No. This place, like it for a lot of people, like a lot of guys here, I've heard some of the guys talking about it as well. It's kind of like nobody expected a comedy club to be opening. Mm-hmm. It was always this atmosphere of just this one night. Yeah. and the dedication of people, like even like Elvar, he has the other podcast that I was on. Yeah, he was talking about how like it causes problems with his relationships. This happens with all comedians. Yeah, as soon as they start doing this, like whoever's dating them is like this, takes up a lot of time.
There's like this was a bad choice.
Yeah, I had the same problem.
Yeah, I don't know if I did.
Oh well, no.
Yeah. On. Well, no, nothing big has happened in my life lately.
No, of course not.
Yeah, that's why I decided to do more stuff because I was just like, man, my life has just been steady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's throw a curveball.
Let's throw a curveball and start doing comedy more. Yeah. No, I was always doing lots of comedy, but it causes problems. But it gets to be this home base. And what are your?
It's hard when you're not established as well.
Yeah.
It's gonna be harder. You got to work your way through.
And what
it.
is the possible establishment is getting enough money from corporates and to make enough money here to support a few comedians to be able to be performing here, and if you're selling tickets and things like that, you could maybe do it, but there's only one comedian I think in Iceland who makes the majority of his money off stand-up.
Yeah.
And that's in Icelandic. In English, there's nobody.
No. Well, he has them though.
No, but I mean, like he doesn't make the majority of his income.
No.
He doesn't drive around a car paid for with English language jokes.
Yeah.
You know?
Paid by laughter.
Yeah. He doesn't have a ha-ha house.
Ha-ha house, yeah.
He walks into his house and he's like, yeah, there's a joke paid for that.
Yeah, ha-ha.
Yeah. No, it's nothing like that. So it is very much just a labor of love for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, it is, if you think about it, it's like for a lot of people, it's probably just a hobby.
Yeah.
It's just a hobby, and that's still helping out with the scene.
Yeah.
Like you coming here and just having fun on stage, it means that you're helping out with the scene. It might actually help that much as the point where we want this club to be taken. This club and I want to see some of the fucking open micers, and I want to see you. I want to see Helgi. I want to see all those guys. Like kind of still keep on performing here, but getting gigs somewhere else in the world or something like that. Actually getting notarized.
Yeah.
But that's just to see. Kind of have to see what the future has in store. It's what it is.
But what is like? So like starting this was kind of like, let's just start a comedy club. Now you have one.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you want?
No, it's making it, as we've talked about before, we're making it more like trying to make it more professional.
Yeah.
Because it used to, as we said, it used to be just a place where the comedians went on stage and then they partied afterwards, and it was just basically a home base.
Yeah.
If you think about it, it was basically just a frat house.
Yeah.
With a bunch of fucking comedians.
Just sociopaths.
Yeah, sociopaths. Everybody with daddy issues and mommy issues, and it was kind of fucked. Not everybody is liking the structure that we're putting down.
No.
It goes without saying.
As soon as you say like you want to have drinks after the show, not before the show, you get complaints like.
It feels like some of the comedians feel like we're actually saying that everybody is afraid of change.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who you are, you're always going to be afraid of change. But change can always be good. And the thing is, as soon as we as we have the format here, as professional as we can have it, then we can branch out and we have our sights on. Yeah,
and the big thing that everyone needs to do comedy is stage time. Yeah. And that's kind of what we've got.
Yeah. A lot of it.
The one thing we have is we have shows every night of the week.
That's yeah. And it's a luxury. It can't be taken as something else. It can't be taken as something else but a luxury. It's kind of the same thing as we talked about it in the beginning, the comedian beers. It was never a payment. Yeah. It was never thought as a payment. Only some of the comedians thought of it as a payment. It was a perk. Yeah. It was a perk that you get 2 beers after the set. Of course, when we go further into it, where it feels more like kind of like they're coming in here and they're doing a job. Yeah. Then of course it feels like a payment. But it was never meant to be that. It was meant to be that and that's also why like in the open mics, not everybody gets a beer. Yeah. It's the house comedians that get a beer. Yeah. And if you do a good set, if you're doing a second, third set and you do well, then you actually feel like, oh, this is a perk. Here you go. Here's a beer. Yeah. Free beer. Like you did good. Yeah. Like, wait, thank you.
And it sounds crazy, but the cost of beer in Iceland, that's actually, some of us are getting paid more than comedians anywhere else in the world.
Yes. I actually know bartenders that get paid less than the comedians here, but the comedians get paid in beer. Like the hourly rate for a 5-minute set on a stage. Yeah. That's, if you take the Viking that we have on draft here, it's 1,000 fucking krona. Yeah. So you're getting paid 2,000 krona for 5 minutes. Yeah. That's more than that's
$12 Canadian.
Yeah. Yeah. What is it in American?
$9.87.
Yeah,
it's like 6 times the minimum wage.
Yeah, in America. And then you get the pod afterwards, which is the tips.
Yeah,
You're actually getting very well paid.
Yeah, it's crazy.
For 5 minutes.
Yeah. What is and if you could change anything about how you have it set up right now, what would it be?
Well, layout of the room.
Yeah. What have you like? So right now we have a lot of comedians who've come in from other countries or just traveling.
Yeah.
Friends of comedians, even friends of mine that have stopped by and they see it. We have a great room.
We have a great room, but I want to get it more comfortable.
Yeah.
So basically now we have semi-comfortable 50 seats. But when we have 50 seats in the room, it's very hard to walk around the room.
Yeah.
So basically that comes down on bar sales and cleanup and stuff like that during the show.
Yeah.
So basically I wanna set up the room so it's easy service. It's basically becomes like now we have the bar. I want it to become table service so you can actually just order from your table. Want to make something simple so you can actually just fucking write the stuff down on a piece of paper or something, cross off what you want.
Yeah.
And I want to extend the venue to 80 seats. That's basically the future plan. Like in the end, it would require taking away the bar, but it also leaves the situation of when we remove the bar, there's more gap between the seats, there's more space, and the room becomes more comfortable. Because of course, this is performance for an audience, so you kind of want the audience to be comfortable.
Yeah.
No, it's
before we end, because we're gonna end on a positive note. We've been asking.
Fuck all y'all.
Yeah. How hard it's been to have these comedians to be doing this, to make this decision, to have this club. What's been your favorite moment at the club?
Favorite moment of the club? It would be of like the obvious thing of entertaining like Bill Burr.
Yeah.
Like when he came here, did 3 nights, it was awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
And sitting here in this exact room for about 3 hours after the show and just like talking.
Yeah.
And it was not about like what anybody would expect, like talking just to Bill Burr. It was just comedians having a conversation.
Yeah.
And it was mainly talking about comedy.
Yeah.
It was not about like, you're a big comedian.
Yeah.
Second thing would probably be Rod Gilbert.
Rod
When
Gilbert.
he
Is
came
it only
here.
just when famous people show up? That's your favorite?
Yeah, all of you other guys are just fucking assholes. You're drama queens. No, but the favorite moment was probably when the first time when we had a packed room.
Yeah.
Like before the show.
Yeah.
The first time we had a packed room before the show was, I think, about 9 months in.
Yeah.
About 9 months in was the first time that we had a Saturday night where 15 minutes before the show the room was packed.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like that was a moment where it was just like, we can fucking do this.
Yeah.
This is fucking awesome. We have a full room on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
And now we've had full rooms since.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've basically had full rooms. There's like one in one night, maybe, where it's like been a little bit less.
A little less. But we've been selling out Saturdays and
Yeah.
Fridays consistently for 6 months.
Yeah. Which is good.
Okay. Well,
Well,
this has been a podcast
this has been a podcast.
and you have been a guest
And I have been a guest.
and an owner. You technically own this podcast.
Oh shit, I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Should we now tie our hands together and fight to the death?
Yeah, like we always planned. Yeah. So again, if you're watching the podcast, we have shows every night of the week. We have the Magic Viking show on Mondays, the Funniest Four on Tuesdays, the Wednesday night open mic. Thursday is My Voices Have Tourette's. Friday, the Not So Secret Friday show with Gísli Jóhann. And Saturday is the Saturday night comedy showcase with me, York Underwood. I hope to see you guys at the Secret Cellar. Or if you're watching somewhere else, drop us a line if you're going to be stopping by anytime soon and, see if you want to come in and do a set. Thanks.
Check out our YouTube as well.
Yeah, check out our YouTube.
This will be there. This will be you're probably watching this on our YouTube
Or Facebook.
Yeah, if you click the bell icon and get notifications, you will probably get notifications when we stream on Fridays and Saturdays.
Yeah.
Because we usually stream our show on Fridays and Saturdays.
Yeah. Well, perfect.
Yeah.